use of deadly force at approximately 9500 South, 9630 South on 1300 West on July 5 of 2024. This was a, I'm going to do this a little bit different than I'd normally do my briefings. I'm going to be fairly much more concise and shortened on our factual statements because we have a lot of video to evidence to go through. This was a evolving and moving crime scene. There were multiple shooting officers as well as supporting officers. There was a lot of body-worn camera and dash cam evidence to go through, as well as a lot of extensive air traffic and civilian witnesses as well. From the onset, I want to thank Sergeant Lofgren, Sergeant Julian, and Officer Newland for providing statements so we could both reconstruct and appreciate what they were perceiving so we can create an accurate picture of the scene. Officer Cullen refused to provide a statement as his constitutional right. The context of this really is, let me give you a quick sort of timeline to contextualize this. At approximately 7:03 p.m., a 911 call that came out from GW, who is the decedent Kemp's grandmother. She had called to indicate that a protective order had been served against her grandson, that he had threatened to harm her, and she was very concerned. At approximately 7:21 p.m., Officer Cullen and Newland were dispatched to the scene. At 7:34, Officer Cullen arrived at a second address where the grandma's friend was, and they started to sort of address that issue. Sergeant Lofgren was en route, and all three officers are at this second address with grandma because she's, of course, upset that her grandson has been served and he's threatened to harm her, and she would later recall that he had basically said that he was going to go get drunk so he can work up his nerve to come and harm her and kill her. At the same time, approximately about 7:50, there is a second location, which is a carnival that is happening, I guess, out in West Jordan. And at there, somebody that we'll identify as HK, who is the decedent's Kemp's mom, also approached an officer to communicate text messages that she had received. There were two protected parties, the grandmother and the mother, and then the mother reaches out to another officer at a second location and shares her concern. At approximately 8 p.m., Officer Cullen stays at the second address, and Sergeant Lofgren heads to the carnival to brief others, and Officer Newland heads to the original address, which is the home of Grandma, to see if Mr. Kemp is going to show up there. At that time, per Officer Newland, he sees a Dodge SUV and he flips around, which is consistent with the suspect vehicle, and gets behind him at southbound temporary red light. But Officer Newland also says that this Dodge Journey runs that red light and he follows it through the construction. After this construction, he hears gunshots and sees suspect's right arm out of the driver's side window with a handgun pointed at him. And he shares this over the radio. At approximately 8:03, Officer Newland advises shots have been fired. He shot 2 shots at me, and then he activates his lights and dash camera. At approximately 8:04, Officer Newland advises Sergeant Lofgren that the suspect is right there. He's giving chase to him, following behind him, and they come to the intersection of 90th South and 13th West. And we'll show it to you on the video there. Sergeant Lofgren then pulls in front of the Dodge Journey. So the cars are coming this way. Sergeant Lofgren actually pulls right in front of him as he's coming because he notices Newland's car behind him. And at that, then Sergeant Lofgren pulls in front of the Dodge Journey, and then he pits him, right, which is a pursuit interruption technique where you basically jam the cars to sort of displace them. And we'll show that to you. The cars come to a rest. Sergeant Lofgren gets out of there, and he also tells the investigators that he heard multiple gunshots and saw multiple muzzle flashes before he effectuates the pit maneuver. At approximately 8:05, 50 seconds, Sergeant Lofgren advises that the suspect is not complying and fleeing, and we'll show that to you on the video as well. And the suspect had fired shots before he had stopped. the officers now start to pursue multiple officers. And during this pursuit, there is Sergeant Lofgren, who will be first. Sergeant Hutchings, Officer Hutchings will come in as the second. Then there's Sergeant Julian, also gives pursuit, is in a unmarked sort of white pickup. And will be eventually overtaken by Officer Newland. And Officer Cullen is traveling and is shared the middle. So you have multiple officers who will be going down 1300 West in pursuit of Mr. Kemp. At approximately 8:05:49, second pit is performed by Sergeant Lofgren. So he pits him the first time. He tries the second time. Kemp's hand is seen out of the windows, out of Lofgren's dash cam. Sergeant Lofgren fires through the front windshield of his vehicle 11 times because he says through his interview that he was close enough and he was getting fired at, so he fired at him. At 8:06, he attempts yet a third pit maneuver against the suspect vehicle. And approximately shortly after, he then tries one more time the fourth pit maneuver, which actually causes the car to come to a stop, and Sergeant Lofgren crashes into a wall, and Kemp exits out of the vehicle. And as Kemp exits out, he ostensibly fires. Sergeant Lofgren will return fire, Officer Newland will return fire, Officer Cullen and Officer Julian all return fire. At 8:06 p.m., as they're confronting him, other supporting officers are coming to help as well. Officer Strasser, who is one of the officers downstream as he's coming up and he's approaching, his windshield will actually take a bullet shot to the windshield as Mr. Kemp allegedly is firing at all these officers. So that gives you a context, and ultimately they return fire, and Mr. Kemp goes down and subsequently succumbs to his injuries. As I mentioned, there was extensive evidence here. We interviewed Sergeant Lofgren, Sergeant Julian, Sergeant Newland, Sergeant Cullen, as I said, refused, as is his right. There were also 5 other witness officers, Officer Trujillo, Officer Hutchings, Officer Archibald, Officer Strasser, who were also very helpful in terms of what they shared, that they corroborated multiple shots that they heard. And as I mentioned to you, we also went through extensive body-worn camera, Officer Newland's body-worn and dash camera, Sergeant Lofgren's body-worn and dash camera, Officer Cullen's body-worn camera, Officer Hutchings' dash camera, Officer Strasser's dash and body-worn camera, Officer Trujillo's body-worn camera, and Sergeant Julian did not have any. At the site, we also recovered an empty Ruger, a .380 auto-caliber pistol next to Mr. Kemp's left waist, fully loaded Ruger 380 6-round capacity magazine in Kemp's right hand, and a holster on his left waist. We also found 4 spent casings from that same gun, .380 casing, located at the scene, indicating that he had fired. As well as in the Dodge Journey that Mr. Kemp had, we found 2 spent .380 casings, as well as 51 unspent .380 rounds, an empty Ruger 380 magazine, a hatchet, a crombat knife, marijuana and paraphernalia, and some prescription medications belonging to Mr. Kemp. 7 9mm casings were located in Lofgren's vehicle, consistent with him firing, and 35 9mm casings were located at the scene itself. Subsequently, we also discovered that, as I mentioned, Officer Strasser's front windshield was hit by a bullet as he was arriving. Officer Newland's front bumper was hit by a bullet, as well as damage that was done to Officer Lofgren's car through the pit maneuvers as well. And there were bullet damages to residences and fences, and including one civilian who said that while she was walking her dog, she got hit by some shrapnel. And the autopsy revealed that the suspect died of multiple wounds to his body. So that gives you a context of how this incident moved. Now, I'm just going to move to the video section of this, because we do have a lot of, we've condensed it, as you know, but I do want to take you through multiple video settings, if we will. So let me first of all start with this right here. This shows you the full length of the pursuit, and what really it will show is that you'll see at the very top, which is GW's residence, up here, that's where the sighting originally occurs. That's the grandmother's house. The second label is where Newland says that Kemp ran a red construction light after he got behind him, right at this location. Then you go south, and as you move down to 8500 South and 1300 West, where Newland reports that shots were fired at him, and he then calls over the radio shots fired, and then that's where he activates his emergency lights and camera, right at this location as they go down. And as you go further south to 8900 South and 1300 West is where Sergeant Lofgren first pitted Kemp's vehicle, and officers challenged Kemp at the gunpoint. And then Kemp fled, which is right here. That occurs there. And then as the chase continues, Sergeant Lofgren attempts to pit Kemp, and Kemp sticks his hand out of the window, and Lofgren then fires through his windshield. And you'll see that, and that's again here. And then ultimately the termination of the scene that occurs there. So at this time, let me start you off by showing you Officer Newland's dash cam before we go there. So this is Officer Newland's dash cam. In his interview, Officer Newland explained that before he activated his lights and cameras, Kemp fired shots at him. So you don't hear it because he activates it after that, and he called out shots fired over the radio. This video is Newland pursuing Kemp right after that incident. And when Newland is at the scene where Lofgren first uses the pit maneuver, so this will give us a sight of that. And then Cullen, who's the other shooting officer, comes and parks in front of him, while Hutchings is on the right in the gas station parking lot. So this will come to a conclusion there. But again, there's so many things happening, I have to kind of take it through this way to make sense. Nick, go ahead and play that, please. So this is Officer Newland's dash cam. This is the suspect vehicle. And he then starts to give pursuit because he's flipped around. And his sound will activate later. But they're just going down 1300 West, and he's calling over, and he has already called shots fired prior to this going on. He will turn on his overhead. You can hear the sound. And Sergeant Lofgren is hearing this.
He's wearing a gray shirt, white man. Looks like he's the only occupant of the vehicle. Offer is approaching 90th right now.
So he's telling Lofgren is coming. That's Lofgren making the turn. And he tries to avoid. He's going to pit him. That's Lofgren. His vehicle comes. He's going to ram the vehicle to stop him. This is Newland. Lofgren has exited. They're going to start challenging him in the vehicle. This is Cullen that comes up here. You'll see other officers also come in here. They're challenging Mr. Kemp in here. They're yelling at him. He's not compliant, and he takes off. Here's that's Julian. And that's another officer comes in. So now they're going to give pursuit. He's going straight back through the light there. And Lofgren is up on the lead.
Lane and 1300 West.
He has tried a pit maneuver already. There's another pit maneuver. His car spins, comes to a seal. Lofgren, these. Lofgren is pulled back. So that was from Officer Newland's dash cam and perspective. Now, what I'm going to do is just slow down one part of the Newland's dash cam. Here's another look at Officer Newland's dash cam. We slow it down and magnify to show Kemp's shooting. Okay, go ahead. This car spins. Watch Mr. Kemp get out. Right there. Right there. That's the muzzle flash of him firing. I'll play that one more time. So now you have a context of what you're looking at. So we were able to superimpose, and what you're going to see is a white flash, and that is the white flash of a muzzle of the gun being fired. So go ahead and play it one more time. Right there, right there. And as I mentioned, so the other thing that's important from this orientation is that all the officers who come stop, they're firing in this direction. And then, of course, as the supporting officers, that will become relevant later, and we see the muzzle flash, and all the multiple officers talk about him raising his arm and firing. And, of course, keep in mind, prior to this stop, there have already been multiple reports of Mr. Kemp firing at different times and stages through the proceedings there that ultimately comes to end here. So here, again, just for completeness, so we're very lucky in the sense that this agency had multiple dash cams as well as body-worn cameras. So we showed you the dash cam. So just for completeness, this is Officer Newland's body-worn camera that we've condensed to that point. Go ahead, place that. And this is important, again, to help us give orientation, but also how quickly the intensity of the shooting happened here. The next thing that I want to show you is, this is important. So now I'm going to start to contextualize this. So the pit maneuver actually brings Kemp's vehicle, as you see it spin, and comes over here. Lofgren comes and ends up here. Later, another unmarked car ends up. This is how the scene ultimately ended up. Our shooting officers are Lofgren, Newland, Cullen, and Julian. Trujillo does not shoot. This unmarked car comes later. And this becomes important as they're giving pursuit. Strasser's car ultimately comes down here. And as I said, you can see Kemp stepping out. The officers are returning fire in direction, and Kemp is allegedly firing back. And as we said, we see the gun flash as well as multiple rounds were fired, because we find 4 casings there. So we know that at least he got 4 shots off. And ultimately, Strasser's car comes here. And from the trajectory, that is ultimately where Strasser's car gets hit as he's coming up. And that shows us that there are bullets being sent down towards the officers. So since we wanted to keep it in sequential order, so that's why I showed you Newland's dash cam and body worn. So as I mentioned, Newland spots him, flips around, is giving pursuit, and then here's the shots fired. He goes on his overhead, and he's now talking to Lofgren, who's hearing this. The one context that I do want to emphasize is, since the protective order was against the grandmother and the mother was at the carnival, one of the things, because Officer Lofgren gave us his statements, to help you contextualize, he was concerned that since Mr. Kemp had threatened to kill, he was worried about the carnival as it was coming down, that there were other people who might be there if he shows up there, as well as at the home. So Lofgren tells us that he's very concerned about how this event is going to be unfolding. And as he hears Newland over the radio saying shots have been fired, he's coming to that intersection, and he tells us through his interviews that he's going to try to stop him because that's where his heightened awareness was. So this is Sergeant Lofgren's dashboard. Go ahead. So he's going to turn in. He can see Kemp, Newland in the background. He's going to pit him. He comes in, hits the vehicle. He jumps out, is yelling commands. He also tells us through his interview, he makes eye contact. Kemp sees him, kind of grimaces, but he's not going to comply. You can see him moving a little bit in there, but they are just on gun yelling commands for him to show his hands and get out. That's Newland. Lofgren jumps back. And he'll have the lead as they pursue. Keep in mind, you're going to see him also shoot through his dash cam there because as he gets close. He will try to pit him. He's tried to shoot us several out of us. He's going to try to pit him.
Whoever's behind me, if you can call out.
He wants to know who's behind him. He tries, fails. He sees the gun and he's getting close. Sorry. His vehicle crashes into the wall. He's going to come back. So go ahead and now what we do is we're going to show Sergeant Lofgren slowed down. And here it's a variable speed video that slows down and highlights when you see Kemp put his hand out of the window with a gun. And at the end you can see a gun in Kemp's hand, and Sergeant Lofgren uses a pit maneuver to stop him towards the end. Go ahead, play that slowly. You'll see the hand right there coming out. And you hear the gunshots. And again, the hand coming out, right there. And watch just right there. There's the gun, right there, right there, right there. And this comes to as the crash happens. Now, so they had that was the dash cam. So this is Sergeant Lofgren's body-worn camera in the same thing. He's made the pit. This gives him his angle. He's yelling.
He's fired shots at me before he stopped. He is now going southbound on 1300. He's going slow.
He's got the gun out. He's worried because he's going to be close to him. They've already fired at him multiple times. He's heard.
I've got a spot here. I'm going to pit him. He tried to shoot at several of us. Whoever's behind me, if you could call out.
He says he sees the gun, and the gun's come pointed out at him. So you.
Hey, you okay? Are you hit?
I think I'm okay. I just hit my head.
You okay?
Yeah, I just hit my
Let's get
head.
medical started. Let's get medical started. Sorry. Let's get medical started. Let's get medical started.
What was interesting is that he talks about that Lofgren says, I've already heard that he may be a danger. I'm worried about two sites. I'm worried where he's going to go. He's fired at different officers, and through his interview, his state of mind, he says, I have to stop him because he has no disregard for the officers. He certainly doesn't have any disregard for the way he's driving. He's an ongoing danger, so his sense is heightened in that. And even when he talks about that when he's pitting him, and as I showed you earlier, he sees the gun, he's focused on that, and he goes, sometimes that I've gotten so close, and he's reacting to that when he fires the shots that he does. The other, as I said again, we had other body worn as well. This is Officer Cullen's. I'm going to show you next. This is just again a segment from Officer Cullen's body cam. He was already at the first scene where Kemp was stopped, and this is as he is approaching that final location. We're showing this because he is also a shooting officer, and when Cullen gets out of his car at the second scene, you hear him immediately yell to drop the gun, and then he fires. So that gives us, again, as one of the shooting officer's perspective in this multiple officer scene that we have. Go ahead and play that, please. And then Newland's already pulled him up.
Let's get medical started. Sorry. Let's get medical started. Let's get medical started. Where you at?
And you can hear him yell how quickly, again, the gunplay is going, and you can also hear him yelling. So this is the next thing that I wanted to show you was, as I told you already, the orientation of the confrontation. As they are coming to stop the principal shooting officers, this is sort of Officer Strasser's dash cam. As he's approaching that scene, Kemp has already gotten out and fired at the officers. And so go ahead and play this. Keep an eye in this area. So it's up here. The shooting right there. There's a bullet that comes right down and hits his windshield. Okay, I want you to play that one more time, so now you see it. Again, what I want you to be oriented to is that those other principals have already come to a stop. Kemp has already exited out. He's being confronted. He's firing. They're firing. And again, as I said to you, that orientation becomes important because you can see the direction all the officers are at. And the question is, again, beyond the 380 casings that we found, beyond the slowdown we showed that he fires, but this also captures one of the bullets coming down at the officer in that direction. Go ahead and play one more time. So they're coming to a stop. They're right there. So again, this is the screenshot of Officer Stasser when his windshield is hit. So go to the next one. So this is, as they approach, a couple of things. As you can see right here, when he comes up, then he's moving as well. This, as they approach, this is the gun right there. And in his right hand, so when they approach, this is by his left hand. On the right hand, he's got a mag that he's trying to load, which is fully loaded, and in the process of trying to load that mag that we had. So our assumption is consistent with that not only we see him shooting, but as he is, he's also trying to reload as well. Go to the next one, please. So this was the gun that was recovered, which is, again, very small. And even when we slowed it down, you can see it looks kind of very small in that slowed video. This was one unspent mag. This was a full mag that we had. And then going to the next one. There were also bullets, more bullets that were found there, as well as casings inside the vehicle that would be consistent with the shots. So based on the totality of this, we believe the officers acted reasonably, given the danger that was presented by Mr. Kemp to not only them directly on multiple occasions, but to the community at large, and therefore we will decline to file any charges, and we believe this was a justified use of force in this matter. I'm happy to answer questions.
I mean, not that it's part of your investigation, but do you believe he anticipated confronting officers? Is a suicide by cop situation?
Yes, that's a great question. Yes, we do have a reason to believe that, because I believe he had been in prison, and when he came out, he had communicated to his family that he was not going to be going back. And in fact, I believe it was his mother who shared subsequently that he was so insistent that that was a confrontation that he was going to have, and that he would die by suicide by cop. And then, of course, the immediate presence of danger. The grandmother, he is served with the protective order, and he basically tells the grandmother he's going to come down and kill them, but he's going to go get drunk so he can work his nerve up. And so she, of course, is terrified. So she's calling 911. She's at a friend's location. And as they're investigating this, because it's a very specific threat based on the protective order, then you have the mother who is at the carnival. She's also a protected party, and she has gotten a text message that she's showing to the police officers that she flags down at the carnival. And in essence, it basically says, by this protective order, you've signed my death warrant. And so she's concerned that as a protected party, he may come down there. Of course, they're concerned that the grandmother may be in real danger. So you have two areas that they're trying to protect. And Sergeant Lofgren, again, I want to just emphasize, look, sometimes we get statements, sometimes we don't, and our obligation as the DA's office is to try to construct factually what happened. The statement from the other 3 shooting officers helps us paint the context of not only what's happening, but also what they're thinking and how they're reacting in the context of those factual situations. And again, it's very telling that Lofgren sort of intimates that he's concerned. He's got multiple parties that may be in danger. He's concerned this guy can show up at this carnival that's winding down, that other citizens could be at risk. And so they're treating this with a very high priority. Newland then runs down to the house because he's worried that Mr. Kemp may show up at Grandma's house. She had gone to a friend's location. As he goes there, Kemp is seen headed there, and then he flips around and identifies him, and that's when the pursuit begins. So Kemp was heading there, right? And then, of course, given the urgency of the situation, and because Newland has said, as he goes, before his camera comes on the air, that he has fired a couple of shots, Lofgren is hearing that, so he was going to stop him. And that's when you see the first pit maneuver that occurs, and his vehicle comes to a stop. And in the debrief with Lofgren, he says, look, I jump out. So now they're just giving commands. And he says, I see him. He sees me. I'm telling him to show him hands. And he says, he believes that he says no to him. And that he's got a sort of a smirk on his kind of face. That so he goes, I know now he's not going to stop. He's already shot at people. And when he takes off, now it's very important, none of the officers shoot at that time. Although that they've stopped him, they're not seeing him pull the gun out, although he's shot, and they're still at a safe spot yelling commands at him. And then you hear Lofgren say he's not complying because he takes off. And Lofgren is the first lead on that gives chase after that. And he says that what's going through my mind through this process, he's already shot at multiple officers. We've already had multiple shooting things. He's worried that officers and he himself or others are going to be clearly in danger. But now he's really worried, since he is running, that he may take others hostage. He may cause a greater injury to the community at large. And that is what's going through his mind. And he knows that he's got to somehow stop him. And that's why he's trying to do multiple pits, to stop him, because he doesn't want him to get to wherever he's trying to get to. And also because he sees him as an ongoing, imminent threat, because he sees the gun, he sees the shooting that's occurring, and that's why he's going to keep trying to pit him to bring him to a stop. And when he does, and he jumps out, he's also, again, this is very important. You have multiple officers, but for Officer Lofgren, it's just this person. He doesn't know where, he knows there are people there, but when he jumps out and the confrontation is occurring, he believes that he's shooting at him. So he's trying to respond because he's got that tunnel vision on him, right? And that really helps us flesh out that scene. But it was pretty clear, even from not only the objective statements, but from also his conduct, that he was going to have this confrontation, and he continued to escalate it.
Yeah, and it seemed like it could turn out much worse, because
Yeah.
Lofgren is the closest officer to him.
Yeah.
He's already kind of dizzy from the crash.
Yeah.
But it looks like the attention of Kemp is on the other officers.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that's the other thing that's going to
I think Kemp is aware. He knows there's multiple officers, right? So, for example, when he's there, he knows Newland's behind him because he fires at Newland, and Newland lights it up. And as he's coming to 90th South and 1300 West, Lofgren is in front of him, and he crashes him. So he knows there's those officers. He comes to a stop. He's got now Lofgren, he's got Newland, he's got Cullen, all of them out of their cars, jumped out, and they're yelling commands at him. And from his other right side, which would be hard for him to miss, you've got Julian and you've got other officers coming with their cars all lit up, and they're yelling commands at him. He knows there's multiple officers that are there. And when he takes off, I don't think it's unreasonable for him to be seen, because when his car's getting flipped, and also before when he's getting hit, that he is firing at them, and he knows there's multiple cars there. So when he gets out, the car comes to a stop, he gets out, and you can see him coming to the back end of that vehicle, and you see that hand go up, and when I was able to slow it down, you see the muzzle flash that happens. There's, at that time, multiple cars that are there. So he knows that there's a whole slew of folks who are there, and he is going to come out and confront them, and he raises that hand up, and he fires that shot. We know at least 4 shots because I find 4 casings there on the ground. And as I mentioned, we see that, and we also see that downwind impact on Strasser's car. So he knows there are officers, he's firing at them, he's confronting them, and they're going to return fire, and he's going to have his...
Like Lofgren, who's the closest, the most exposed, and unfortunately he doesn't turn his attention to him.
No, because you can see Lofgren hits that wall, he comes out, and Lofgren is canting to the right. He's going to Kemp's vehicle, but he's coming from the right side, and you've got Kemp who's exiting from the left side and going to the left back and confronting those officers. Lofgren can hear this. He knows that there's guns going off, and what he's focused on, he's thinking he's shooting at him. So but he's still moving forward because he's concerned he can't let him get away. So you see not only Lofgren perceiving the danger, but moving into the danger from the right side because he's going to confront them because that's where his focus is. And you see the shooting occur, and then you see Kemp turn. And I think he's turning because he's trying to load his gun again. Because you see the magazine in his hand when he goes down, and he falls down, and the gun is on the left side, and his holster was on the left side, so he's left-handed. The only reason I think he's shooting right-handed there is because he can't shoot this way, so he's using his right hand to fire into the officers as he's driving, right? But I believe he was left-handed, so you see the magazine in his right, the holster is on his left, and the gun is found on his left side by his left hip, right? So that fits the dynamics. Any other questions?
Do we know how Kemp got the weapon as a restricted person?
You know, I don't know if it was, did we,
Information from family members or girlfriend that it was stolen.
yeah, as was said, that information from the family members that they were able to discover that it was a stolen firearm. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.